Hello folks, what is up everybody? Welcome back to another video series here. Today I've got a really exciting Under the Microscope series for you, so if you're not familiar with my YouTube channel, let this be an introduction. Hello, my name is Oren Lagziel. I am a second year master's student at the University of Maryland, and I love to make Magic content on YouTube. Now normally, I do a lot of modern content, so this is obviously a standard video. You see the title, you see the cards in front of you, but normally I play a lot of modern, and I have a few series where sets of series where I kind of do different styles of videos. When I have I play an established archetype, I play a full Magic Online friendly or competitive league. When I am doing a brew, we have something called the Brew Trials, where we play it through 3 matches, and then we also have something called Under the Microscope, where we take a look at a deck that's not too popular, but might have some good things going on, and we also play it through 3 matches. And then we also have the one and done series, but personally, the deck that you see in front of you is pretty sweet, and I really want to play more matches of it. So normally we'd probably do a one and done for a deck like this, but I think it's getting to the point where it might be established enough where I feel confident doing 3 matches for you guys. And the reason I'm doing only an Under the Microscope series with 3 matches today is because time constraint. Obviously, you'll know that I haven't made videos that much in the past couple weeks, and so time has been a serious constraint lately. With that said, I'm finding the time to at least give you some idea of how this deck functions. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I've been talking about this deck a ton. I got a 5-0 with it on the Magic Online competitive leagues, and then I got 2 more 4-1s after updating the list following that result. So I'm 13-2 in the Magic Online competitive league, kind of environment there. And obviously, you play against some pretty good decks in those leagues. So I think this deck is the real deal, and so I've been talking back and forth with Todd Anderson. I actually beat him in... Oh, sorry, if you don't know who Todd Anderson is, he's a great guy. Star City Games, I believe, writer and content producer. And if you've ever watched Star City Games, their live streams. He's on there quite frequently, either as a tournament participator, as a commentator, or in their Versus Live series. So Todd Anderson is a great guy, but I beat him in one of my leagues with this deck. I believe the same one that I got a 5-0 in, and he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, could you send me your deck list?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I tweeted it out to him, and ever since then, got a bunch of new followers, a bunch of people asking about the deck, and then he started developing the deck, and so. This is a sweet archetype here, and I haven't even said the name of the card, right? But the card is Disinformation Campaign, and it says when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and your opponent discards a card. So that's kind of like a 2-for-1, right? Your opponent discards a card, and you get to draw a card. You're up a card, your opponent's down a card. Seems pretty good. But when you surveil, return Disinformation Campaign to its owner's hand. And if you're not familiar with surveil, it's a new mechanic that came out with Guilds of Ravnica. And so surveil says, look at the top, X cards of your library, where surveil however amount stated on the card. So if it's surveil 2, you look at the top 2 cards of your library, then put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest on top of your library in any order. So basically, it's kind of like a scry mechanic that lets you put things into the graveyard rather than on the bottom of your library. So, if you pack enough kind of those effects into the deck, you can, put Disinformation Campaign back into your hand pretty easily. So we also have cards like Thought Erasure, which is basically a Thoughtseize effect with Surveil 1. Now, what I really like about this deck is normally discard effects are really bad late game top decks, but if you have a Disinformation Campaign, you can turn Thought Erasure into like a Scry 1 draw a card, obviously pretty mana intensive, but in the grind, it's usually good enough. And so that's what's really powerful about Thought Erasure. It's really good early game, but in conjunction with a Disinformation Campaign, it's perfectly fine late game, which you normally don't have, with discard spells. Then you have some kind of black removal at the bottom end here, right? You have 2 Moment of Craving, because there's a lot of red decks running around right now, so having some cheap instant speed removal that gains you some life is really sweet. 2 Cast Down, because while there are some legendary creatures, there's not too many, so it's kind of like, quote-unquote unconditional removal in a sense, but there are some things that it doesn't hit. like Shalai and Lyra and cards like that. Now, also doesn't hit, I think, Tajik from the new Guilds of Ravnica set. We have 2 deadweight, because again, cheap removal is great. Being able to interact with your opponent on the first couple turns of the game in order to get to this later part of the game is really, really important. You have an Argyll's Bloodfast because sometimes the card just wins you the game just by drawing you a ton of cards, but it's also really it's okay in the aggro matchups because you can flip the land, and then like once you're under 5 life, you can start gaining gaining some life with the rest of the creatures in your deck. You have Sinister Sabotage. Again, it's a counterspell, but it surveils 1. So not only is that pretty okay on its own, it gets pretty nutty if you have a Disinformation Campaign as well. So, countering a spell, returning Disinformation back into your hand, replaying Disinformation, you just get so far ahead. We tap out to play cards like this, and Thought Erasure and Disinformation Campaign, which means that sometimes things are going to get through. You can't always preemptively answer something. So that's why having access to the color black, obviously you need that for Disinformation Campaign, but the color black adds some really important elements to a deck like this, because again, things are going to get through, and you're not going to be able to always answer things before they come down with Thought Erasure and Sinister Sabotage. So cards like Vraska's Contempt, which is just unconditional removal for any creature or planeswalker, and you gain 2 life, is really important. It means that even after you slam this Disinformation Campaign and they like slam their follow-up, you can then re-slam a Vraska's Contempt to clean up the board. You have 3 Ritual of Suit because of Suit. I think it's Soot. Destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less. This card is also incredibly important. In my 5-0 list, I only played 2, but I really like having access to 3. There's a lot of aggro in the new standard meta, and just like the fact is, you're gonna lose a lot of tempo by playing out these sorcery speed cards like Bloodfast and Disinformation Campaign, and even Thought Erasure isn't always going to be the best it's going to be. So being able to kind of clean up your opponent's developed board while you were taking off the first couple turns to generate maybe card advantage will let you survive, essentially. It'll let you get to a stage in the game where you can actually take advantage of cards like Disinformation Campaign. You have 2 Ravenous Chupacabra because it's a blocker and a removal spell, which is oftentimes a 2-for-1. It's really important in the red matchups, just being able to both kill something and block something, like a Chain Whirler, and then, go to Stabilize from there. Now, we haven't even talked about my favorite part of the deck, which is the creatures. So again, we covered Ravenous Chupacabra, which is a creature, but Doom Whisperer is the absolute nuts. This card is a 5-mana, 6/6 flying trample with an ability which says pay 2 life, surveil 2. You don't even have to pay any mana. You pay 2 life, you can surveil 2 as many times as you want as long as you have 2 life to keep paying. And this gets pretty insane with Disinformation Campaign in the late game. You can turn this into a surveil 2, draw a card, your opponent discards a card, and just go off. If you have multiple Disinformation Campaigns, this will obviously bounce multiple ones of them. It just gets out of control very quickly. The card selection is, not meaningless. I have frequently, like, my opponent goes to kill my Doom Whisperer, I, like, surveil 2, maybe 2 or 3 times, I just find another Doom Whisperer, and then I play it, and my opponent just doesn't have enough removal to keep answering all of these Doom Whisperers. So, obviously, you don't always have enough life total to play around with, depending on the matchup, but in the fairer, less aggressive matchups, the synergy between like Surveil and Disinformation Campaign really just grinds your opponents out really, really well. So that's why the deck is really powerful already against like the fair decks, which is why you're going to see a lot of tools dedicated towards beating the aggro matchups. You have 4 Vraskas, 3 Ritual Suit, 2 Ravenous Chupacabra, you have Moment of Craving, Cast Down. You have a lot of things going on here that are good against aggro. And you'll also notice in the sideboard you'll have some things to bring in against aggro as well. So, it's really important to kind of assess your deck's role and figure out what you need to be able to beat. So, again, this deck is really awesome. Oh, I didn't even cover Dream Eater. Let's go ahead and cover Dream Eater. It's a flash creature, so its stats are not great. It's flash. Flying is nice. 6 mana, it's quite a lot. And it's a 4/3. So 3 toughness, not great on a 6-mana creature. However, when it enters the battlefield, you can return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand, and Surveil 4. Surveil 4 is a ton. You get to look at the top 4 cards, put any number of them into the graveyard, or any number of them back on top of your library in any order. And the fact that it has Flash lets you do it at the end of your opponent's turn. You can bounce an opponent's threat, or blocker, or something, or blow them out during combat, or even bounce a Planeswalker. There are so many times where I have, like, a Doom Whisperer in play, and my opponent can't attack, but I can't attack either, and then I flash in Dream Eater, bounce whatever threat I was worried about, and then I just swing for 10, and my opponent is suddenly on like a 2-turn clock, And so the card is really insane when it does what it's meant to do. Obviously, if your opponent has interaction, even in the form of like a Lightning Strike, it can be pretty lackluster. But usually at that stage of the game, your opponent doesn't have Lightning Strike, and if they're Lightning Striking your creature, it's sometimes an okay trade. Not always, but ideally, you'd have it survive and your opponent not have a Lightning Strike anyways. But the point is, I like the card because it's versatile. No matter what, even if your opponent doesn't have a non-land permanent to bounce, you Surveil 4. And even if you don't have a Disinformation Campaign out, Surveil 4 finds you like whatever answer you need or whatever threat you need. Surveil 4 is a ton. Talking about mana base now, 25 lands. Originally, I had more basics and more memorials, but I found that the deck was actually quite mana intensive, right? You want to have early black mana, but then you also want to have double blue on turn 3, as well as double black on turn 4. That's mana intensive. So we have 10 dual lands, right? We have 4 Drowned Catacombs, 4 Watergrave. Those are pretty easy to slot in. But we also play 2 Dimir Guildgate, because sometimes just having a tap land on turn 1 or 2 is really important in fixing your mana for the rest of the game. We play 6 Islands, 6 Swamp, and 2 Field of Ruin, because 2 Field of Ruin is really important in dealing with Search for Azcanta, dealing with the the white flip land. I forget its name, but it generates 1/1 tokens like basically every turn, so it's really important to be able to deal with that efficiently. You have Path of Metal, a lot of different flip. You have opposing Argyl's Bloodfast. So again, there's a lot of lands out there that you're going to want to answer. So while Field of Ruin can be a little clunky in your opener, it's like a really important tool to have access to in your kind of 75. And then I play 1 Memorial to Genius because I do feel like this deck needs an extra bit of grind sometimes. We don't play cards like Chemister's Insight, which would let us to draw 2 cards as instant speed and then jumpstart it back. And I have considered playing that card, to be honest. But Memorial Genius is kind of a way to slip in that type of effect in your mana base, and it just lets you kind of hit the gas pedal around turn 6-7 when you and your opponent have been grinding each other out. And worst case scenario, it's just a tap land that helps you cast your Sinister Sabotage on time. So not perfect, but I do think that it's a pretty useful land in my opinion. But we could find out that in future testing, it's just not worth it. Okay, so I covered the majority of the deck here. I have provided in the in the description both the original 5.0 deck list that you can find that was posted on Wizard's site and on MTG Goldfish. That's in the description. Then I'll also post an MTG Goldfish of my updated list that you see in front of you here in the description, so you can have access to that in text form. And then also in the description, there's going to be all the jumps through the different sections of the video. So I probably should have mentioned that in the beginning for anyone that didn't want to watch the deck tech. But in the description, there's going to be, match 1, match 2, match 3, closing comments, deck tech, all the different time jumps in case you want to skip around the video. But I just wanted to get that out of the way in case people want to jump straight to the matches. But I'll go ahead and talk about the sideboard as well. And I'll talk about why I included some of the things I did. So originally I had a lot of more duresses in the sideboard, but I felt like with 4 Thought Erasures, you're not bringing in duress all that often except against the control matchup. So 2 duress seems fine to me. You have some counter spells as well. 3 negate really helps the control matchup. I also tend to bring it in against tokens builds, and I even bring it in against mono red because they have cards like Vance's Blasting Station. They have cards like Lightning Strike and Wizard's Lightning that can be good. They have Risk Factor that you want to counter. They have Experimental Frenzy that you want to counter. Negate actually does a really good job there, as well as in the control matchups. Then 2 Disdainful Stroke. This card again comes in against a lot of different decks. Comes in against control, but it also comes in against mono green. This is one of your best ways to answer Vinemare. or Nullhide Ferox, or big planeswalkers like Vraska and Karn, and all these different cards. Disdainful Stroke just answers them all very efficiently. You have one Essence Scatter because it's another answer to Vinemare and Nullhide Ferox that are obviously on the stack. But the goal is that while Disdainful Stroke would cover those as well, Essence Scatter I feel more comfortable bringing it in against Mono Red, because Mono Red has the Phoenix, they have Chain Whirler, they have Legion Warboss, they have a couple different creatures that are really nice to hit on the stack before they get any value. So that's why we kind of see a slight split here, because while Disdainful Stroke and Essence Scatter hit similar things, I do want an extra tool that I can bring in against Mono Red. Cast Down, great removal spell against Mono Green, as well as Mono Red and any other aggro deck. 2 Moment of Craving, because, again, Mono Red is such a popular deck out there. You really need as much answers as you can, and Moment of Craving is one of your best removal spells. I've even Moment of Craving my own Doom Whisper just to, gain 2 life. It's a really versatile card, depending on the situation. Now, for the spice, we got 3 Thief of Sanity. This card is insane in the control mirror. I single-handedly won a game against Turbo Fog, and you can see the picture on my Twitter, by landing Thief of Sanity on turn 3, and basically just holding up counter spells for the rest of the game, and I milled my opponent out. I exiled 3 of their Nexus of Fates. I hit, their Teferis and their negates, and Thief of Sanity is just nuts. It's an insane card. It's basically a Gonti effect every turn. It's like if Gonti, Ashiok, and Geist had a baby. This is what you would get, and this Thief of Sanity card is just insane. Now I originally had 2, then I went up to 4. Now I'm down to 3 because it's important, but you don't really want to flood out on them necessarily. So 3 Thief of Sanity for the kind of fair mid-range control matchups I think is going to be really helpful. And 1 Eldest Reborn, so each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker on its first mode, then second mode, then the next main phase, each opponent discards a card, and then third phase there, or third saga, or whatever, lore counter. You sacrifice it and you get to put a target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield. So this card is really important on dealing with hexproof creatures like Vinemare, the Ferox, and even Carnage Tyrant. I was able to kind of play this on turn 7 or something against a Carnage Tyrant, and it was really helpful. Oh God, again, there's so much to cover here. I hope I hyped you up a little bit looking at the deck list. I mean, this deck is insane. A 13-2 record for me. Doesn't happen very often. I'm not that amazing of a player, but the deck just does really powerful things, and if you play well and you play tight and you kind of assess the game state, I think Disinformation Campaign can be really powerful. Now, there's going to be times where it's not very powerful, and that's okay. Not every card is powerful in every situation, but I think the times where it's powerful far outnumber the times where it's not. So that's it. That was the cover there for Blue-Black Disinformation Campaign. Hope you enjoyed the deck tech. Hope that it helped elaborate some things about the deck so you kind of understand how it works. What we're going to do now is take it through 3 matches in the competitive single queue lobbies on Magic Online. Hopefully we'll run into some competitive decks. Sometimes you don't always run into competitive decks in those 1v1 lobbies, but the hope is that we will, and the idea is just for you to get a feel of how the deck performs. Now I do hope that maybe I'll be able to stream the deck maybe later this week or this weekend. Maybe I'll record a full league on my own time if I find some free time. Obviously, being a master student, time is a little bit scarce these days, but I will try to find the time to keep the content coming on YouTube. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching the deck tech here with Blue-Black Disinformation Campaign, and I hope you enjoy the following 3 matches. I will see you all in just a moment. Alright, what is up, folks? Welcome to the first match here with Blue-Black Disinformation Campaign. We won the die roll. Let's go ahead and take a look at our opener here. That's a rough one. If we had a second land, we could kind of fix our draw here. I think as it stands, though, it's a little risky to just kind of play towards the land on top, especially on the play. So let's go ahead and mulligan this. This hand is a little better. We get a Scry. We have turn 3 Disinformation. We have our kind of win con. Not much interaction, so hopefully we'll be able to scry into something good here. I think I'm putting any land that I scry onto the bottom. At this stage of the game. Also, we don't know what our opponent is on, so... but I think I will keep a removal spell on top. If I see one. There's just so many more decks out there that are aggressive. That's a 6-drop. That's not what we need right now. Definitely looking for some interaction. Alright, start with Dimir Guildgate. It's a tap land that always comes in tapped, so you probably want to play that over Watery Grave on turn 1. Now, the reason there might be a reason to play Watery Grave in some circumstances if you need to play a 2-drop and your hand is maybe Drowned Catacomb, but even then, this is the Mono Blue Tempo deck. This deck is quite good. This is how I lost to it in one of my leagues where I went 4-1. It's just I didn't draw my interaction, and they just went nuts. They probably have Spell Pierce in hand as well. I mean, they look like they're F6, so maybe they don't. Thought Erasure. Is that better than Disinformation Campaign? I think I actually would like to Thought Erasure them. I think I want to disrupt them just a little bit. Okay, alright. This is not too scary. I kind of want to take their opt. I don't really care about Merfolk Trickster, and I really need to find interaction. And I don't want them to dig towards counter spells. I really need to find my interaction that will then answer this. So Ritual Soot would be not bad because then I wouldn't even have to target. Okay, that's a Ritual. I think I'll cast it. If my opponent drew exactly Counterspell here, then, that means my Doom Whisperer might get to resolve next turn. Alright, there goes their card advantage engine, and now all they have is a Merfolk Trickster, which is not going to line up well against Doom Whisperer. Now, hopefully they didn't draw another Curious Obsession. That would be pretty good. Again, we just need to deny them their card advantage sources. I believe this is a wizard, right? So this turns on their Wizard's Retorts, which now cost 2 mana. Maybe my opponent is considering playing a threat here instead of holding up mana. That would be interesting. We do know they have 3 lands in hand. So 3 lands, 3 unknowns. Let's hope that this Doom Whisperer can do some work. So the reason I was okay with Thought Erasuring over Disinformation, because it still draws us an extra card, basically. The Thought Erasure. Alright, they're down to 5 cards. Question is, do I want to lead on Disinformation Campaign? I think I do, because if they have Counterspell, I want to draw it out. Okay, no Counterspell here. Ooh, okay, well, I'll play the Bloodfast. Okay, so far not much from my opponent. Now we know, I believe, nothing in their hand because they discarded Island and they played Island. Alright. Okay, another Thought Erasure. We could just... Again, I'm not under that much pressure. I think I'm okay just casting Thought Erasure here, seeing what my... Wow. Wow, just a bunch of lands. Okay. Moment of Craving on top. Yes. We'll return Disinformation Campaign. Make my opponent discard one of those islands. That is a lot of islands. Alright. And now we're in a really, really strong spot. Opponent plays another one of their islands, so they have 2 islands, 1 unknown. We go down to 10 life. Not scary. Land was a pretty nice pickup here. I am going to go in and play this. I kind of want to upkeep the Moment of Craving. Ooh, they drew the Wizard's Retort here. So, here, let's just go ahead. That's a shame. Maybe I should have let on Moment, because if that gets countered, then, whatever. Plays another island. Alright, let's go. Let's keep on discarding here. I believe they discard their last island. Play a land. Well, I guess I didn't have to pay that 2 life. I mean, play that land. Well, cast down is a nice pickup. I don't believe they have many legendary creatures in their deck. Okay. So far, we're okay. Let's go ahead and draw an extra card here. Obviously, we don't want to get too low on life total, but don't think, unless my opponent just drew like perfect cards that were in too rough of shape. If they drew like, alright, Merfolk Trickster plus something. Ooh, Ravenous Chupacabra, that's a good one. Alright, yeah, this is what I was worried about. Okay, I think we say okay to that. Draw another card. I think we just cast down here. Play a Watery Grave. Say go. Opponent's on 1 card. Okay. What you got for me? Dream Eater. Alright. Now this is where we... I wonder if it's worthwhile to upkeep it. Because if they draw a counterspell, I want to play around a potential counterspell. Yeah, I think it's worth upkeeping it. Siren. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can't Vraska's. Yeah. But I think I will still up. Well, I guess there's no reason to upkeep. Oh, I guess. Yeah, I think this is okay. Just like bounce it. Surveil 4. Seems pretty good. Bounce both of our Disinformation campaigns. Rituals. I don't like any of this, actually. And then let's go ahead and bounce that card back to my opponent's hand. This is going to basically make them cast it on their main phase, which means, or I guess it actually works out pretty similarly. All right, so they're just going to go ahead and play it out. Okay, those are not bad. Not bad pickups. The question is, do we... I think I'm okay flipping the Argles. Yes. Sabotage. Well, I think we just get ahead of this while we can, basically. We'll trade our Dream Eaters here. Basically, now we just want to find another Doom Whisper. Because we're getting to the stage of the game where my opponent doesn't have many outs. But, again, I'm just countering just about anything at this point. Let's go ahead and put that in the graveyard. Look for another Doom Whisper. Let's trade. I guess we could take a hit for 1 turn, but in case we draw like a removal spell, we can still keep attacking. Alright, let's play Disinformation Campaign. Again, still looking for Doom Whisper. Got a few left in the deck. That's a Thought Erasure. Not great. I guess I didn't need to play that land. Again, you can see how we're up on cards on our opponent here by quite a lot. Way more lands, way more cards in hand. That's what Disinformation Campaign does. Alright, well, just gonna hold up this Sinister Sabotage for a bit. I could Thought Erasure to Surveil 1, but I think I'd rather do that at a later time. Okay. Opponent. Just passes, looks like. Sweet. So now we even found an answer to a resolved creature. Spell Pierce. I will actually pay for that. So I can Surveil 1 and bounce the Disinformations to my hand. That's just so good for at this point that, like, it might take us a while to win, but having a lock on the game is really nice. We'll just get one Disinformation Campaign out there, draw that extra Sinister Sabotage. Whew. Opponent's making me work for it here. That's for sure. We're still up on clock, so that's always good to be aware of. Come on, where's your boy? Let's go ahead and play a Disinformation Campaign. Does my opponent finally concede? I think they may have conceded. Alright, Alright, there's Doom Whisper. A few cards down, but again, we were pretty locked in on that game. Definitely want more removal in this matchup. Moment of Craving is okay if you can get it early enough. Eldest Reborn is also fine. I like Duress in this matchup. They have quite a few counter spells. Essence Scatter. Yeah, Essence Scatter seems pretty good to me. Negate might be reasonable. Although they're always going to win the counter wars, which is kind of maybe not a good reason to do that. So maybe you just want to have kind of removal, disruption, etc. Definitely want to cut the Arguls. I like the Dream Eater is a flash creature, but we do want to maximize our interaction. I'm gonna cut. I don't think we have enough time to. I don't think we have enough time to dirtle in this matchup. I think normally this matchup is actually going to come down. While we were able to grind there, I think generally it's not going to be a very grindy matchup. Definitely want at least 4 Doom Whispers. It's our win condition. We really need that. We could trim a couple Disinformation Campaigns, but it's so good in the late game. If we get there, maybe we can trim 1 just because we're on the draw and they're an aggressive deck. But like Duress or Thought Erasure into Disinformation Campaign can just be so powerful. I want all of this, so I'm gonna try to make room for it somehow. Maybe I'm supposed to cut some counter spells here, because again, they're just gonna win the counter spell fight. Essence Scatter is okay because it's kind of a removal spell. Well, let's keep 2, cut 1. No. Alright, I'm gonna do it like this. I don't think counter spells are gonna be that great post board. But we'll see. Again, this is like really only the second time I've played against Mono Blue, so I could be wrong in my sideboarding. But I think we just want to have all of our cards be able to impact the board usually. Or dig us towards impacts to the board. I think we have a lot of good cards in this matchup. It's a matter of how aggressive their start is. Curious Obsession is a ridiculous magic card. If they go like 1-drop, yeah, like this hand is just... I'm going to keep it, but I'm not happy about it. Let's see, my opponent, mulligan to 6, scries to the top. That's a turn 1 creature. Let's go ahead and get this memorial down. Ideally, we'll draw like a thought erasure here. Maybe we'll draw one of our ritual of soots. Another Vraska's Contempt. Ugh, that's a beating. This is why like I don't really like Sinister Sabotage, but because our opponent's just getting way ahead on board here already, and turn 3 on the draw is just too late. Too late to start interacting. Now our opponent still no Curious Obsession, so the cards aren't flowing, so this could be okay. Another Vraska's Contempt, I guess. They might get there eventually, but oh boy. Yeah, I'm just countering anything I can at this point. If they have a Spell Pierce, they have a Spell Pierce. They're gonna have a Spell Pierce, no matter what. And if this means they tap out to play, alright, opt. So let's see, they scryed to the bottom, always a good sign. Play a land. Swing for 3. Now we get to start untapping with these Vraska's Contempts. Ooh, Chupacabra. What are the chances they have Wizard's Retort? Maybe I'm supposed to hold up Vraska's Contempt, make them use a counterspell on like their end step, and then go for the Chupacabra. But I'm not sure. I'm actually gonna take the hit here in case they play like a better creature that I'm gonna want to hit. Although, I don't know, maybe that's wrong. Well, I guess they can still counter the life gain no matter what we do. Yeah, I would definitely want to hit the Siren, actually. Let's see if we get counterspelled here. Alright, they're going to Wizard's Retort it. Alright, at least we got that out of my opponent's hand. Okay, so I think I'm going to... actually, Chupacabra is not that amazing, is it? Alright, maybe on upkeep, I'm going to upkeep on the Siren Stormtamer. Yeah, so they just counter the ability, so that way we don't gain the 2 life, which makes sense. Get hit for another 2. Going down to 8. Thankfully we got this Moment of Craving to try to catch up. I kind of want to hold up Vraska's Contempt in case they have the Flash creature, which I don't want to just take 3 from. So again, do this on my opponent's upkeep. Alright, gain some life, that feels good. Alright, there's the Djinn. I think I want to Vraska's Contempt this. Sweet. And then we can Memorial to Genius. Yeah, if I had 8 mana, I would have waited a turn and then just I would have Chupacabra'd instead of the Vraska, because instant speed removal is better than sorcery speed removal, obviously. But here, let's just gain some card advantage. This is why I like the Memorial to Genius, because even against aggressive decks, stuff like this is going to happen. So I'll lead off with Chupacabra. Okay, it's Essence Scatter. Interesting. And let's just remove that creature while we can. I'll save the ritual for something that's harder to kill. Well, Doom Whisper. One time. Disinformation Campaign. Alright, that's a card. That is a card. Doom Whisper, yes! Alright. It's happening. We're doing it. We can surveil aggressively. and to bounce the disinformation into our hand. We will have to do it, I think, in response, because we lose all abilities, right? Loses all abilities. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that in response. Wow, another Doom Whisper. I kind of like both of these, but yeah, definitely want that Doom Whisper. We bounce that back to hand. We're going to lose all abilities here. Take 2. We're at 10, though. It's not that scary of a life total. Although if they did draw their big scary pirate, that could be concerning. Alright. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and try to get a counterspell out of my opponent's hand here. Wizard's Retort, sure. And so the reason I kept the Thought Erasure on top was because next turn we can go Thought Erasure, look for a counterspell, if they have it, and then Ritual of Soot, and then our opponent's just... Alright, opting. Let's see, how did they scry? Scry to the bottom, alright, into another opt. Scry to the bottom. Always a good sign. Always a good sign. And my opponent concedes the match. And that's how you beat Mono Blue Tempo. I think our opponent, to be fair to them, they did flood a bit in that first game. But we had a pretty good back and forth there in that second game. I think our deck showed its strength in the fact that we have both sweepers, target removal, insta-speed removal, creature-based removal. Of course, they had the Essence Scatter. But still, I think it was quite, and as we saw, that Chupacabra led the way that Doom Whisper could then resolve the following turn. And their clock is so slow, especially when they don't start flooding the board with Jin or with multiple Curious Obsessions, that this matchup becomes very manageable, as long as your opponent doesn't just get the nut draw, right? Okay. Thank you all so much for watching that first match here with Disinformation Campaign. Stick around for the second match coming up in just a moment. I'll see you guys soon. Alright, hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the second match here with Blue-Black Disinformation Campaign. We got a pretty decent opener here, right? Opponent's going to decide. They're on the play, we're on the draw. They're going to decide whether they want to keep 7. But we have a pretty good draw here. We have Cast Down into Disinformation. We have potentially Discovery into Disinformation. I might want to save this Discovery after I land Disinformation. Therefore, it goes back to my hand. But I'm going to go down to 6. Guess they had a bit of a tough decision there. Well, looks like they kept on 6, and let's see how they scry. Sometimes their scry helps us kind of understand maybe what they're looking for, especially if we end up seeing their hand. Although that usually be... Wow, is this the same opponent? This might be the same opponent. I'll have to check after, but it could just be the same opponent. Ritual of Soot, sure. I guess we wanna... we'll just end step it, right? If they want a Wizard's Retort, I think I'm okay with that. Merfolk Trickster, eh? I think I still want to do it on their turn. I know that's like kind of me losing tempo, but... I guess if they have Curious Obsession, then they can protect it. I guess this forces something, right? Yeah, maybe this was a reason. I don't know. Take 3 here. At least we can probably resolve Disinformation Campaign, and then maybe Ritual of Soot if my opponent overextends, if they don't draw their counterspell or something like that. Alright, opponent draws their card. Chooses not to overextend. Fair enough. Let's just play the campaign. Hope we don't get spell pierced here. Sinister Sabotage, not horrible, but we are facing down this Merfolk Trickster that is going to be drawing my opponent cards and dealing us some damage here, right? Alright. Opponent's going to swing. Wizard's Retort would be really good here. Like, land plus double Wizard's Retort would just be insane, I think. Or that plus a Spell Pierce. Which is why I'm probably going to have to upkeep this Vraska's Contempt. Ooh, is my opponent going to overextend a bit? Ooh. Do we put them on having Spell Pierce here? I could play a little more cautiously, but I'm just going to go for it. Oh, and it worked. It worked. Whew! Maybe my opponent didn't know there was a sweeper in the format in our colors, so I guess that's fair enough. Oh, that's a really good pickup here. Oh. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah. Come to Papa. And there goes their last card in their hand, and we have officially grinded my opponent out. Well, mono blue seems to be a reasonable matchup. Alright, we faced it round 1, facing it again round 2. That's okay. Do what we gotta do here. Definitely want a removal. Eldest Reborn seems okay. Duress seems reasonable. Again, we're going to lose most counter wars, so I like to not get into them at all. Definitely want to cut the Dream Eaters. Definitely want to cut the Arguls. Get the Moment of Craving in there. Just no time to dig for stuff, so I like cutting Discovery here. Get that Duress in here, and then cut a couple Sabotages for Duress and Eldest Reborn. And I think that's how we're going to run it. Because Sinister Sabotage is not the worst once we've gained control of the game, but it doesn't really help us gain control of the game, especially on the draw, so that's why. There's even an argument to just be playing Discovery over that, just to smooth out our early game draws, but I'm not sure. Definitely going to try to get our more hand disruption start here, maybe some more disinformation going. Because if they don't get a card advantage engine backed up by counterspells, we can usually win the game. But if they do have those cheap counterspell backed up, like Spell Pierce, which you know they're probably playing about 3 to 4 of postboard, Negates, they're playing multiples of postboard. I'm not sure how much they can dilute their deck based on like threats versus answers, but I think overall this is a good matchup. I think if we didn't learn that in the first match, we're definitely learning it now. I still think it's a keep. Unfortunately, we don't have that turn 1 Duress power to get the oh, we got that turn 1 Duress. And they can't even Siren Storm Tamer. Let's get that Curious Obsession out of my opponent's hand. Is this a wizard? It is a wizard. God, I think I really have to take the Curious Obsession here. If they want to 1-for-1 us, I think I'm okay with that for quite a bit. If they don't hold up Wizard's Retort here, then I'll be able to take it. Sweet. Alright. They played their island. Well, hopefully by the time we get to Doom Whisper, we can actually just disinformation their hand. Just, ooh. This is tough, because they don't have a second land, or a third land, but I don't want them just holding up Wizard's Retort for the rest of the game, so Deadweight is pretty good. Definitely going to keep Deadweight on top. Alright, so they're going to smack me, Surveil, and then probably Chart a Course. So that's a clock, but Next turn we can go Disinformation, then the following turn we can go Deadweight plus Sinister Sabotage backup. Interesting. They're discarding the Merfolk Trickster off the top of their deck. They're probably looking for a land. Alright, they cast the Charter Course, they find their land. And now we slam. Slam. Alright. See what they discard here. Discard an island. Okay, looks like they found a couple lands there. Alright, so we know they have Disdainful Stroke plus one unknown card. Hopefully that unknown card is not, what's the word I'm looking for? A Charter Course? Oh, another Disinformation Campaign. I think this turn... Yeah, I think I want to hold up. My opponent, you know... See how they want to do this here. I want to hold up Sinister Sabotage, I think. Sure. I think I want to hold it up. They did scry to the top. So that's what I'm scared about. Surveil to the top, sorry. Which is kind of the same thing. Alright, looks like they're surveilling once more. Let's see. Don't top, don't top. Trickster into the yard, alright. Weirdly enough, Trickster would be kind of annoying for us to have to deal with. Alright, opponent's not going to do anything. Maybe they're going to do something on my end step. Eldest Reborn. Well, that unfortunately gets hit by Disdainful Stroke. Huh. So I guess we can just hold up Sinister Sabotage for a little bit. Obviously, we're giving our opponent a lot of draw steps, but at the same time, we're not in a position to really take over the game. Our hand is kind of clunky and expensive. Our opponent has a threat that we haven't been able to answer. I would feel a lot better if my opponent didn't have a threat and play. Wow, they just put Negate to the yard? What does my opponent have in their hand? Just a bunch of counterspells? That's what it feels like. Alright, so now we can start forcing some action, right? We can Vraska's Contempt on my opponent's end step, then maybe hit a land next turn and try to go off. Alright, there's another land. Couldn't play it fast enough, huh? So, this Vraska's Contempt is almost for sure not going to resolve, but I'd rather them surveil with less information. That's why I'm going to just take the 1 here. Puts an island into the yard. That's pretty good. Alright. Let's start fighting. Is that a wizard, by the way? It's a fairy rogue. That's not a wizard. Probably eat the Disdainful Stroke here. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, this is the turn where we're going to pick a fight. Ooh, Moment of Craving. That is really nice. I kind of just want to... kind of just want a Craving. While my opponent is low on mana over there. Gate. I guess we'll try to fight. Gotta get through these counter spells eventually. Oh, Chupacabra. Yeah, probably want that on top, right? Chupacabra seems pretty good. I guess it's not a land, which is kind of annoying, but... Alright, here comes another threat. Tempest Djinn. So they didn't have enough mana to fight over last turn. I think I'm going to try the Chupacabra it. Wizard's Retort. Ooh, Syncopate for 2. Okay. Now Spell... I guess maybe I was supposed to lead on Eldest Reborn because Spell Pierce is a live draw here. Alright. Oh boy, yeah. Tempest Djinn, that's a card. Hopefully they didn't top deck another counterspell here. But we're gonna go for it. Gonna try to kill that thing. Sweet. Wait, no, they could have a flash creature. Oh. Okay. Sweet. Okay. That worked. Chart a course. Draw 2, discard 1. Sounds good to me. If they play a creature here, they're going to have to discard their last card in their hand. So that's pretty good. Each opponent discards a card. Disdainful Stroke. Yeah, I don't want my big dumb guy to get countered here, so I'm just gonna lead on this. Okay, Merfolk Trickster. Not super scary. Okay, well, actually playing that land out was probably a mistake. But Moment of Craving is fantastic, though. Hopefully our opponent doesn't draw like Curious Obsession right here, but now we can... Let's see, we can get a... Do we have our own Doom? I think my opponent just conceded, right? Yeah, my opponent did concede. We would have gotten back, I guess... Yeah, their Tempest Djinn, which would have been a 4/4. And then we could Moment of Craving, and then if that gets countered, we then play Doom Whisper with our 5 leftover mana and take over the game, ideally. But our opponent probably just drew a land there, and they didn't want to grind out the rest of the match. So, what we learned today is that we have a pretty good mono-blue matchup, so that's good. I'm going to go and check back if that was our same opponent in just a few seconds, but unfortunately that's 2 out of our 3 matches against the same deck. Don't worry, I'm going to try to screen the next matchup. I don't have much time left for recording, but I'll try to screen the next matchup to hopefully be something new that we haven't faced yet. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching that second match, and stick around for the third and final match coming up in just a moment. I'll see you guys soon. Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the third and final match here. I actually went back and checked. It was not the same opponent in match 1 and match 2. 2 separate people on mono blue. This hand is kind of sketchy, but I'm going to keep. We have potentially Disinformation on 3. We have Cast Down on, I guess, kind of 3. Temple Garden. Oh boy, this is gonna be the punishment for not having mana. Ooh, never punished. Never punished. All right, let's hope we can hit land 3 though. Worst case scenario, we have Cast Down to kind of All right, green matchups are always scary with Disinformation. You never know. Okay. Yeah, if we do this and they have the big dumb guy, the big dumb creature, I guess it's coming down next turn anyways. I don't know. Let's live on the edge. Give me that Nullhide Ferox. Give it to me. Give it to me. Oh, whew. Always lucky. Alright, so now we've slowed them down enough that I'm not too worried about this Llanowar Elves. I mean, they could play a 4-drop here, like Shalai. We have a Doom... Oh, I guess Cast Down doesn't kill Shalai, does it? Ah, boy. Yep. Spoke too soon, huh? Wow. I guess we'll just Ritual of Soot here. Just maintain tempo, try to slam Doom Whisperer next turn. Because I don't think passing doing nothing is a winning line there. Yeah, History of Nalia is really good here, so now I'm getting punished for kind of burning that Ritual of Soot. Ugh. Give me some lands. Alright, so this is like Green-White Legends. I guess I kind of need another Soot now, don't I? Yeah, that was... Trading my Soot against a Green-White deck for just the Llanowar Elves, that's probably a mistake. I think I can confidently say that that is not a play I make very frequently. Oh boy, let's just top deck Soot. Oh, are they gonna? Sure. It's not a Soot, but we're actually dead on board. So, yep, that was a misplay. Ritual of Soot is a good Magic card. No need to waste it against what my opponent had going on there. In this matchup, probably want a couple more Moment of Craving. I actually really like Disdainful Stroke in this matchup. Negate is also reasonable. Duress is kind of okay. Eldest Reborn, they have a lot of tokens. It's probably not okay. Man, I just keep cutting Argles in almost every matchup. I'm not sure Argle is that good. I keep cutting Discovery because while it's good, it's fluff, right? It's fluff. It doesn't really interact that well. Definitely want the Disdainful Stroke. Maybe I don't want to over sideboard. Although Cast Down is really important to actually killing Nullhide Feryx. I kind of want to try Thief of Sanity in these like fair mirrors. I wonder how that's gonna go. Probably not well, but it's for science, right? This is a matchup I haven't particularly played very often, so just figuring out how to navigate the green-white matchup could be good. Yeah, that's a keep. We can kill a turn 1 Dork. And hope we don't die to Nullhide Feryx. Alright. Ooh, that's a good one. And now this even lets us know if our Disinformation is clear next turn. No Nullhide Feryx. That's good. Kind of want to take the History of Benalia. That card is going to be really troublesome to have to deal with. So let's just go and take History. Thief of Sanity. Yeah, this is awkward. I don't really want it. I think I want to hit land drops. Here comes the Pelt Collector. Yeah, again, this is one of those moments where we could hold up Counter Magic, but I think we just want to hit our land drops and then next turn start playing at instant speed. Alright, that's a land. Opponent discards Forest. Do we know about it? They do discard the Forest that we know about. Alright, dodge History of Benalia. I guess if they didn't play it pre-combat, then we've dodged it. Ooh, that's a good pickup. That is good. Yeah. I think I'll definitely fire off this. Well, not definitely. I might just fire off the Sinister Sabotage to try to hit another land drop. I think I'm okay taking another hit from the Pelt Collector here. He's not dealing that much damage. And that way next turn I can, if I hit a land, I can, I don't know. We already have a Vraska's Contempt. Kind of just want to hit land 5 here. Well, now I think we just have to hold back. Ooh, that's a legendary creature, isn't it? Okay. Ooh, do they have more? Oh gosh. Uh-oh. Oh boy, that's gonna get that's gonna get stroked. I never thought I'd say that, but sweet. I guess oh, that's a good one. I think I wait a turn. I think I'll wait a turn. I really don't want to get hit by like a Shalai or something. Alright, I guess I'll try a Moment of Craving that. And Disinformation. See what our opponent discards here. A land. Okay. Alright, so now we're facing down 2 tokens. We have an answer to something big and an answer to a creature. Conclave Tribunal. I'm actually super okay with that. Yeah, you can go ahead and take one of my Disinformations. Definitely not concerned about that card. We could Ritual here. I think we can take a couple more hits, though. Yep. This is why I'm okay taking a couple more hits, because next turn we can clean it all up. So we go to 13 here. Next turn we'll go to 9. We'll have Vraska's Contempt still in hand, though. Disinformation. Let's go and draw some cards. Alright. That's not bad. It's a counterspell for another History of Benalia. It also means we can Ritual of Soot plus... Ooh, what you got for me? Yeah, I think I just take the opportunity to bounce my disinformations here. Let's go ahead and put that in the yard. Don't need that much card draw now. We have a lot of good card draw. I could have just Disdainful Stroke that though. Might be a little loose. Now we Ritual. Hold up Disdainful Stroke. We have Vraska's Contempt as well. Yeah, I feel like we could have won game 1 if we just hadn't punted away. Yeah, that's fine. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Definitely want to get this off the board. So I think we just wait a turn. I really want to get this Thief down though. Yeah, Thief can just take over the game from here basically. Ooh. Ooh. Alright, so I don't think I would have Vraska's Contempt in combat, but I do think I'll probably Disdainful Stroke whatever my opponent might have here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good one. Alright, I think we start with an attack. See what we can exile from my opponent's deck and use against them potentially. Knight of Autumn. Ooh, we could just get Shalai. Shalai just like really screws with my opponent. And I think I'll hold back this Disinformation Campaign. Alright, opponent concedes. Let's go to game. Whew, next game. Next game. I do like the Thief of Sanity over the Dream Eaters here, I think. They just gain the value you need. So Essence Scatter seems a little more exciting to me now, after seeing a bit more of their deck. Again, I'm always so scared. Yeah, I'm just going to cut Dream Eater. Card's expensive, clunky. Was I playing 61 cards in the main before? Was I being a scrub with 61 in the main? I probably was, wasn't I? With an extra counterspell, we could probably cut one Sinister Sabotage. Yep. Let's go ahead and run it. Again, don't want to overload too much on removal, but it's good to have some. That's a hand. Doesn't have an answer to a turn 1 dork, so that's scary. Okay, that's not a dork. I am actually okay with this. And Ritual of Soot, I'm even more okay. So next turn we can either go Thought Erasure or Moment of Craving, depending on how aggressive our opponent's curve is here. That is quite aggressive. I might have to ping that down, although I really want to hit land drops. Alright, well that's a land drop, but we have Ritual Soot, so maybe we should just play towards that, make sure we can find another black source. Oh, there's the Vine Mare. Oh, there's the black source. Things are coming up pretty good here. Temple Garden. Get smacked for 4. Play the Guild Gate. If we want, we could save some life with Moment of Craving. I think it depends what our opponent does here. I mean, our life total is actually going to be pretty important. Yeah, this was a misplay. I shouldn't, well, I guess it's really not a misplay. This might make them overextend a little. Worst case scenario. Otherwise, yeah. Oh, wow. They used a pump spell? That's really good for me. Yeah, cause now it kind of seemed like I just misplayed, right? And I did misplay, but that Ravenous Chupacabra is a really good draw. And I think they've played this forest. Don't Vine Mare me, don't Vine Mare me. Alright, Knight of Autumn. That's not very good here. We could take a turn to get our Thief of Sanity set up. Actually, yeah, and they might also draw a better target. So, there's the plains. Swing. Alright, that's a land. Land is a really good pickup. We're gonna get to like another turn where we're gonna try to double spell, and it's gonna be kind of difficult. Thief of Sanity is actually pretty good against Vine Mare decks. Now, oh wow, that's really bad. Just hit nothing. Whole lot of nothings. Well, we gotta control the board here a little, right? Uh-oh. Are there any protection spells in, That's an instant create 3/3. That's scary. That is scary. Uh-oh. Looks like that's exactly what they drew, right? Oh, boy. Well, at least we can trade with one of them. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, they're taking the Thief of Sanity. Yes, sign me up. I guess that's still lethal next turn. Well, we have blocker, so it's not... Oh, that's a good draw. Whew, I definitely thought they were just going to exile Ravenous, dome me for 6. Aw, please stop. Guess we want to draw a card first, right? Yeah, my opponent had some good rips there at the end, unfortunately. I think because Shalai puts counters, we're just gonna have to just block a bunch. Yeah, this Shalai was the perfect draw. It turns both of their cards lethal. And now I'm not sure we have an out. Yeah, that's a really unfortunate way for the game to end. I feel like maybe I could have played something differently, but I don't know. I feel like we were ahead all game until my opponent just, like, ripped another Assemble into Shalai, and that was enough. And we just didn't have the counter spells ready at that time. We just had all the mid-range threats, like Thief of Sanity and things like that. Maybe I fired off some of my removal too early. I'll have to look back and see if maybe I played this poorly, but I definitely think this is a very good matchup for us. Unfortunately, our opponent just had the right sequence of cards, and you can't win them all, right? Disinformation sometimes is just a pretty poor 3-mana draw card. Now it's usually pretty good, but in this case we can see that it's not enough digging for answers. So I guess a Vraska's Contempt would have been an out there. Vraska's Contempt would have, instead of the Disdainful Stroke, I think that we drew, and that would have brought us up to 6. Then we would have to just deal with this Knight. We would have had a couple more draw steps to deal with that. But yep, thank you all so much for watching. Unfortunate way to end, but at least we got to see how the deck performed, right? And I think I learned something new here, is that Thief of Sanity is actually quite good against these decks. Also, Shalai is really good, and the fact that she's legendary, it can be pretty difficult for us to deal with sometimes. So it's more things to consider. But I really enjoyed playing these matches. So we played against Mono Blue Tempo twice, and we played against this green-white aggro tokens deck, which is pretty good. Winnable matchup, but obviously pretty good. And I definitely think we just threw away our game 1 there. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Stick around for the closing comments. I will be right back. Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to the closing comments here with our blue-black disinformation deck. I think this deck is awesome. I'm happy to have, I wouldn't say I necessarily created it, but I'm definitely the first person to get a 5-0 with it on Magic Online, and I'm definitely the first person to build it this way in this combination of cards and get a result with it. So that always feels good, especially considering I brewed it from scratch. I was just like, well, I like blue-black. In Standard, I like these combination of cards. Let's see if I can make it work, and it seems like I have made it work in some capacity. You can't win them all, but I actually think I learned a few things from this match. One, Disdainful Stroke might just be the best way to approach the green matchups. You have the cheap removal to deal with their small stuff, and then Disdainful Stroke just kind of answers all of their big stuff. Obviously, Carnage Tyrant, it doesn't get answered, but that's the only thing that Disdainful Stroke really doesn't hit. So it's possible that the way to address our green matchup, it's just this card right here, Disdainful Stroke. It's just insane, right? And I think I'm going to try that moving forward. It's also obviously great against Control and other decks like that. So I think that's one of the main things I learned here. I also learned that the Mono Blue Tempo match that I lost to in one of the leagues that I went 4-1, it was my only loss, and I lost 0-2. I think that they can definitely get nut draws, but on average, it feels like our draws definitely beat theirs. We have ways to control their hand, as well as control their board. We have sweepers that, don't use targeting, so that's really nice. So I think I learned a lot about that matchup as well. I think the Mono Blue Tempo deck is a really good deck, don't get me wrong, but I think we specifically have a pretty good matchup against them. In terms of our sideboard, again, I also learned that Thief of Sanity might not be such a bad card to bring in against the blue decks, right? I'm sorry, not the blue. The blue decks too, sure, but the green decks. Because the fact that you can get creatures from your opponent's deck that can then block Vinemare, I know that's kind of loose, but to me it almost seems like 2 Thief of Sanity in those matchups could be really good. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I'd have to play around with it and try it again a few more times. I really liked it in that game. I feel like if we had hit something off our opponent's deck, that wasn't like triple lands, like we got 3 lands off our opponent's deck basically, and then they drew gas. So I don't know. I think if we had hit something, whereas they maybe didn't, or maybe they also hit something, the game would have been different against green-white aggro. And again, I also think I threw away that game one. I was too worried about like taking a turn off that I didn't realize that History of Benalia would have been an insane Magic card for us to have to deal with. And that one turn would either have maybe let my opponent get access to a 4th mana, which maybe wasn't that scary considering Shalai was already on the board. And then, they might have even played out more things that didn't deal us damage. So, I don't know. It's hard to think back, but it's important to think back to games like those and realize, okay, I think that was probably a misplay. And next time, given a similar board position, I probably won't make that same mistake. Overall, the main deck is pretty solid. This Bloodfast always underwhelms me. I don't know. It's like really amazing in some matchups, but most matchups it's just like a flip land in the late game. Like you barely get to use it. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Bloodfast. I might prefer Search for Azcanta in this slot, especially because we're already so stressed on life in terms of like surveilling here and things like that. And red being one of the more prominent decks in the format right now. So Search for Azcanta might just be better than Bloodfast. Bloodfast might be good in the sideboard somewhere. I don't know. There's so many tools that blue-black has access to. It's really hard to configure the right sideboard, considering it's like really early in the meta. But overall, this deck is just awesome. Just you get to control your opponent's hand and play big dumb stuff and kill your opponent to death. And that's the best way to do it. Just jund them out, right? You're kind of junned with counterspells. So that's the way I like to think about this deck. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video series. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Tweet me. You can reach out to me on Facebook if you wish, although that makes it harder for me to contact you back because it goes into my message requests or whatever, and then I sometimes forget about them while they're over there. So overall, Twitter and YouTube comments, best way to reach out to me if that's what you're trying to do. But I really enjoy this deck. I hope it develops more. I think it's already gotten another 5-0 by another MTGO grinder on Magic Online. Now I don't know if he kept if they kept the same configuration as I did. So it will be interesting to see if that list gets posted and how the deck continues to develop moving forward, because there's a lot of minds on it right now. There's people who saw my original 5.0 listing. There's Todd Anderson, who's going his own way with the list. There's a lot of people doing good things out there, and I'm sure that I'm probably not optimal, but I do like the configuration that I have here. I think it's pretty consistent and powerful. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you all so much for watching those 3 matches. We played against Mono Blue Tempo twice. We played against Green White Tokens match 3. Finished off 2-1. Not a bad record. Let's close it off here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.